Welcome to the High Stakes Fantasy Network podcast, brought to you by PlayNFC.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the High Stakes Fantasy Network. I'm Greg Ambrosius, your host, along with Tom Kessenich, my partner, and Vlad Sedler of FTNFantasy.com. And we have a live stream RotoWire online championship draft tonight. $250,000 grand prize on the line. Vlad wants to win that for sure. So, Vlad, let's go to you first. How you doing? How's sunny California out there?
It's a little extra sunny. We're in the mid 90s, so animals, kids, everybody wants to stay inside. I'm trying to do the same, draft as much as possible.
I told Tom it's hot in Wisconsin, which is not like California, but I'm up north at my cottage, and it went from 84 to 66 in a matter of minutes as we had a big cold front come in, dump about a half an inch of rain. Tom says he didn't leave 90 today in where he's living, but 66 it was here a couple hours ago. Tom, everything okay there?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to complain with 90 because we know how cold it's going to get here in a couple of months. So It's been pretty nice here, but I got no complaints. We've had a lot of rain and wet, so I'll take the heat because again, when it gets cold in Wisconsin, it gets cold in Wisconsin.
Absolutely. All right, Vlad. This is a tough time of year for you because you're managing baseball. Like you said, you're a 9th overall in the RotoWire Online Championship for the NFBC. Now you're trying to compete for the overall, if you will, with the RotoWire Online Championship in football. How do you manage these two sports at one time right now?
Just time management, right? I mean, when I have my time allocated for the week, I just have it separated for baseball, for football. You know, we have all of our subscribers at ftnfantasy.com and baseball that obviously we need to take good care of and make sure we bring them over to the finish line, have them win some leagues. But at the same time, you know, catching that football bug. Usually at this point, I would have already drafted probably like 5 OCs. This is only my second one. And it just so happens I drew a 4 pick yet again, the same pick from which I drafted the first time a couple of weeks ago.
And I heard that your partner, Nelson Sousa, gave you some tough love after that first one. What was that all about?
Oh, it's he's much more locked in and focused at this time of year, and so I always I'll run my early teams by him and Matty Wood, just see what they have to say, what they think about it. I'm a pretty stubborn bastard myself, but I'm also understanding that you learn from other people, and especially somebody like Nelson who's so fantastic at it. Allows me to maybe look at things on my blind side that I don't always see. So it's a really nice symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, great. FTNFantasy.com's got a lot of great high stakes content over there. Vlad Sedler, Matty Davis, Nelson Sousa. It's fantastic. Check them out for sure. All right, Tom, we got 12 rounds, 20 teams, third round reversal. A $1,500 league prize. We pay the top 2 in each league, and then $250,000 grand prize. We've seen a lot of trends lately. Today, Saquon Barkley signed with the Giants. He went 10th in the 8 o'clock Eastern time draft tonight. Jonathan Taylor now is not report. He's on PUP or whatever, injury related. He may fall down. What kind of trends are you expecting tonight before we get started here in 40 seconds?
Yeah, I think Barkley's the guy we'll keep an eye on, especially because he had been dropping to late in the second round. His ADP was right around 2021 in the last week of drafts because people were kind of worried about him. I think unnecessarily worried about him, but he did, like you said, jump up right into the first round in our earlier draft tonight. So he'll be a guy to keep an eye on tonight. Again, the number one thing to keep an eye on is where do the top quarterbacks go? How many running backs will go in the first round? Barkley could reemerge as a first round pick now to kind of bump that total back up a little bit. So again, I think those are the trends we want to keep an eye on, those top quarterbacks. And then again, watching the builds. That's what we like to watch in these live streams because it's a lot of fun to see, who's going to jump out and maybe drop, 3 wide receivers to start off with. And what does the Christian McCaffrey owner do after he gets that CMC start? What does he like to do with the build after that? Because that's always a fun one to watch as well, because you got that locked in running back 1. So what do you want to do after that? So let's watch these builds early on because it's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And it starts out right like chalk, right? Jefferson goes 1, Chase goes 2, McCaffrey goes 3, and Vlad, you take Cup at 4. You took Cup the last time at 4. Not afraid to double up there, right?
No, so actually the first time around I got McCaffrey,
Oh,
and the
okay.
person that was at 3, yeah, and it's a guy that I know is a really good player, Jason Anthony, you guys know as well,
Hmm.
and he kind of gave me even the heads up. He's like, "Hey man, I'm going to leave you CMC," which is interesting because I don't know, your I guess things change, especially in those early rounds. How you feel like, yeah, the first round doesn't move all that much,
Right.
but I definitely wanted to. The way that the drafts best build out for me, especially with the third round reversal, is to get that kind of start things off with a top notch wide receiver. And so I would have been happy to grab Cup there, but I'm yeah ecstatic to get him here, and it's almost better to kind of spread the wealth a little, not have both guys in my first 2 drafts or
Yeah,
the same
no,
guy.
absolutely. But Cup definitely. I mean, Tom and I had a fourth pick in a 14-team industry league, and we were same thing. We said we'd take Jefferson, Chase, McCaffrey, or Cup, and McCaffrey fell to us. So, or no, actually, it was Chase fell to us, Tom, in the FSGA league. So that was an
Yep.
interesting one. All right, Kelsey goes at 5. Again, Tom, one things we were talking about, McCaffrey was teaming up with Barkley in the last couple of drafts before all of this happened. We're not going to see that tonight, but there were a lot of McCaffrey Barkley
Yep.
teams that were teamed up, right?
Yeah, and that was what, yeah, I think it was a gift for those teams that were drafting early to get McCaffrey falling late into the second round. So there were some McCaffrey combos, some Tyreek Hill combos, and again, I think people were overreacting because there was really nothing to worry about with Saquon Barkley. I think he was always going to report before week 1, and obviously he's reporting well before week 1 now as he signed today. So I think it was a gift for people that were able to take advantage of a little bit of panic with Saquon Barkley after the not signing the franchise tag last week. So, now his ADP will scoot way back up to where it was before. So if you were able to draft, say, the last few days, you got a gift with Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, Vlad, let's answer a question right here. Tyler's asking, are you guys comfortable taking Lamb over Diggs in full PPR? I will raise my hand and say yes. What do you say?
I like both of them. I have Diggs slightly ahead of him.
And there
If
he
I am
goes right
drafting,
there. Yep.
yeah, if I'm drafting out of that range, I mean, to be honest, I actually kind of like Amon Ra St. Brown a little bit more than both, but I don't mind it. I don't know if Lamb is going to have some of those. He'll have some monster ceiling games, but I think getting Brandon Cooks in there, and I have a feeling Zeke is going to sign back. I mean, there are going to be a lot of mouths to fill, and only one ball to go
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, definitely. Griffin has thoughts on Kelsey at 4 in a PPR league. Yeah, he just went 5th right now, so you can definitely take him in top 4. I mean, the guy is going to be what, 34 years old, but does he look like he's slowing down? Not to me at this point. Unless he's had too wild in an off season. But no, I have no problem taking him top 4, top 5 in a PPR for sure. All right, Diggs goes 8, Eckler falls to 7, and then AJ Brown goes at 9. So we'll see on the back end here where Saquon goes after signing. There's CD Lamb right there, 2 picks behind Diggs. I agree. Tom, what are your thoughts on Diggs or Lamb?
See, I think it's personal preference once you get to the back end of the first
Hmm.
round here with all these wide receivers, Diggs, Brown, Lamb, some other guys that we'll see come up shortly. I think it really comes down to who do you like, and they're all great wide receivers. So to me, I don't have a problem with anybody, who you want to take here. It's just who do you like more? I like Diggs a lot. I like Brown. I like Lamb. So I don't have a problem with any one of these guys being taken over the other one. I got a question on Twitter from somebody asking me about Lamb over Diggs, and I'm like, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with Diggs over Brown or Lamb. So, and there's going to be another guy who's going to come up pretty quickly who I don't have a problem with if somebody wanted to take him. So, it's just who do you like more? It could be you could ask Vlad, you could ask Nelson. They could probably like any one, and that's the guy right there I was going to mention. So any one of these guys could go over the other one in any number of drafts.
Yeah. So Nick Chubb goes at 11, and Amon-Ra St. Brown goes at 12. We have seen Chubb going in the first round more. I noticed this weekend, Tom,
Yep.
you were watching a lot of drafts, but he's been starting to go in the first round. What are your thoughts there?
I've got questions with Chubb because I'm just not convinced he's going to catch all the passes people think he's going to catch. But again, he's a great running back. There's
Yeah.
no doubt about that. But how many balls is he going to catch? I can't take him over Barkley right now with Barkley back, but again, he's a tremendous running back. And this is the thing here. Bijan Robinson fell all the way into round 2 in the earlier draft tonight, and here he's falling into round 2 again, which could be a gigantic gift if this keeps happening.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Justin's asking right here. We're waiting for it to come up before answering the question. Barkley goes at, what do we got? 30, 40, 50, 16, and Robinson
Yeah.
goes at 17. Vlad, thoughts on that? You wouldn't mind getting those guys at the back end, would you?
No, that's fantastic, and that's the beauty of these drafts and these OCs. I mean, even you look up ADP just over the last week, and you're seeing a high volume of drafts. So it's a nice, steady sample set that you can look at and really help to make your decisions. Not necessarily to guide who to pick, but to just kind of understand and map things out beforehand based on your draft position. Like you're drafting here, and in the second, third, fourth the type of options that are most likely going to fall to you. And yeah, I mean, there was that little window with Barkley that is now gone. Bless those that were able to snag him in the late second, even early third, I guess in some cases in OCs over the last week or so. But man, that's great. That discount is over, and as like you mentioned, he's now back end first round, early second round guy.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Jonathan Taylor is the guy in a couple of weeks we look back and say, man, we let him
Yeah.
fall too far, right? I mean, he's healthy. He just didn't want to participate in training camp, maybe, who knows? But he's going to fall here. He's past number 18 right now, so we'll see. All right, 2 quarterbacks here off the board. Patrick Mahomes at 15, Josh Allen at 18. Tom, what have you been seeing on the quarterbacks since this weekend when you've been watching these drafts? Are they going in the second round?
Pretty much. I mean, not a lot of change. I mean, Mahomes still quarterback 1, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen kind of interchangeable at quarterback 2. But again, they're all going in the top 20 right now. And then you got a little bit of a tier drop, if you will, to get to the next group of guys. But again, the top 3 are pretty much locked in right now, going in the top 20, and that's Mahomes, Allen, and Hurts. And it kind of comes down to, again, after Mahomes, it's who do you like, personal preference between the next 2 guys there. But again, usually within the top 20, those 3 guys are off the board. So we'll see what happens here. With the first 2 gone, we'll see where the next one goes after that.
Yeah, so Tyler asked, you guys think Zeke returning to the Cowboys would affect Pollard's ADP? Well, again, he just went 19th right now. He went ahead of Jonathan Taylor, ahead of Derrick Henry. I think Pollard's ADP is where it's going to stay. I mean, the upside with him is so good right now. 3 down back possibility here. So I don't know. Tom, what do you think? You think you see Pollard falling at all or not?
No, not a lot. I mean, I think it's his backfield now. I think if they bring Zeke back, it'll be to have a minimal role. I don't think he's going to get the role he used to have.
Right.
I think they've made the commitment to Tony Pollard, and if Elliott does come back, it's with the understanding that he's there to be Tony Pollard's backup now, not to be the guy he used to be.
Yep. What do you got here, Vlad? You're on the clock.
Yep. So I think I am going to skip out on Jonathan Taylor, whether that is a mistake or not. And I'm going to put myself in a little bit of a hole, but nothing to worry about too much with another round. I'm sorry, by week 10 guy, but I'm going to grab Jalen Waddle there. So Cup and Waddle, the nice start, and I don't have to worry about my receivers for a little bit.
Yeah, 2 teams starting out with 2 wide receivers right now. It's team 12 and Vlad at team 4. So where are you thinking about Taylor? He goes right there. So now you got a McCaffrey Taylor. And again, Tom, we were talking to McCaffrey. Barkley was a common one the last week. Now maybe we'll see some McCaffrey Taylors. Vlad, were you thinking about Taylor though?
I was. And so I'm trying not to think about future drafts and, about exposure and realizing that this might be kind of the only window where you'd be able to grab a Jonathan Taylor there. But I also don't want to be behind the 8 ball before the season even starts. So I have a propensity for taking a chance on injured players a little bit too often. And so that's something I'm trying to curtail. So I'm trying to I want to get players that are completely fresh and good to go heading into the season. I don't want to even deal. There's no reason for me to even think about drafting somebody who may not even play in the early part of the season. If that's even the case, why take a chance on it? I'd rather just grab someone nice and safe who I know will produce for me every week, so long as they're healthy.
That's my mantra, Vlad. I say I don't want to draft guys who are already hurt. They're going to get hurt during the season. Why do I want to draft them now? But you're right. You might not get a chance for a Taylor combination there, but we'll see. So again, 3 teams start out wide receiver, wide receiver. We have 1 team that starts out running back, running back. We're going to watch these roster builds. They're a lot of fun. Here goes Team 12 with 3 wide receivers. Boy, we did this podcast last week, Tom, with Maddie, and Team 12 was Duke. I don't have a name right there, but Team 12 is doing what Duke did last week, which was start out with 4 wide receivers and then a quarterback. So let's keep an eye on Team 12. There's a lot of options at Team 12, isn't it? I mean, you can start out 3 wide receivers. You can go for one of the quarterbacks early if you want to. You can load up on running backs. There's a lot of options at the back end here in third round reversal, right?
Absolutely. And again, those are 3 really good wide receivers. So again, you get 3 stud wide receivers. And we know we've talked about this, right? We've talked about it on our live streams. We've talked about it on the Sirius show that the middle rounds, like rounds 5 and 6, there are going to be running backs to choose from. So if you want to start off this way with 3 really good wide receivers, you can do that knowing you're going to have the ability to choose from a couple of good wide receivers once you do get into rounds 5 and 6, and and say round 4, if you want to hit the quarterback there, you can do this. It's an optimal way to build a roster this year. And again, those are 3 really good wide receivers. I mean, to get Olave in the 3rd after St. Brown and Garrett Wilson, that's a great start. I love that build so far.
Yeah, you got 20 point per game guys right there, 3 of them. So you're off to a great start. All right, we were wondering about Josh Jacobs. Would he fall at all? He does not. He goes to pick 30 to Team 7, who's starting out with 2 running backs and a quarterback. So interesting there. Good to know where Taylor and Jacobs are going right now. Those are 2 guys we're going to keep an eye on. We got our 3rd quarterback that went to Team 11 to start out round 2. So we got Burrow out there. Let's keep an eye on that. Does Team 2 want to double up with a Chase Burrow combination, getting him in round 3 might not be a bad start here as well. All right, Vlad, you're 1 pick away. What are you looking at right here?
So let's see here. A couple of my targets I usually grab in this range are gone. That's Jerry Jeudy, who I'm going to be writing about this year. He's going to be kind of my the guy in this sort of golden zone that I would write about every year. Players that essentially go in between the 3rd to 6th round, receivers who could return 1st round value. I don't know. Many people may not remember, but I did get Cooper Kupp on both of my primetime teams the year of his breakout. And the year before that, 2020, I was all about Stephon Diggs in the 6th round when nobody seemed to like him in his first year, or back then he was with Buffalo, still is. But so Judy's my guy there. Obviously, he is gone. So is Amari Cooper. Metcalf was another target of mine. So I'm looking right now at either a quarterback or Mark Andrews. There are a couple of wide receivers I would consider here, but with the fact that I have 2, I might go with the volume here. Let's see. Andrews, and I'm not going to take a running back. Not a big Najee Harris guy, and the other guys I can wait on. I might bust someone's dreams of a stack with Chase. And let me run this down to the clock. I just want to check something on ADP.
I like the analysis while you're on the clock.
Right, let's see. All right. I'm just going to take Joe Burrow because
There we go.
I just think I think he's a good chance
Crushing
to
the
be a
hopes of
QB1
Team
overall.
2.
Yeah, Team 2, I think, did want to double up there. So
Yeah.
interesting. Well, just on Judy, Tom and I are both on Judy as well. In fact,
Yep.
we got him in the FSJ. It was a 14-teamer, and we got Judy and Chase. So that was a good start to ours. We like that an awful lot. But
Beautiful.
yeah, definitely like that. And then we ended up getting Burrow as well, because in those industry leagues, they do not take quarterbacks early. So we got Burrow in the 4th round. So we like that. But no, I like it. Tom, what are your thoughts on Burrow there? I mean, again, you had a chance for Lamar Jackson. Some people are taking Jackson ahead of Burrow as well. Any thought of Jackson over Burrow or not?
For me, it's really pretty close. I mean, I've been on the Lamar Jackson bandwagon for so many years. Of course, I'm not going to let past years kind of influence too much, and obviously the rushing upside, the fact that he could just produce 60% of his fantasy points just running the ball himself is massive, and we saw what he did 3 years ago. But I don't know. I just feel a little bit more comfortable with Burrow. I feel like now is the time. I feel like if there's anybody that has a really good chance who's not a primarily like a sort of like a Konami code quarterback to actually finish first in NFFC fantasy points among the position, it does feel to me like it would be a Joe Burrow.
Yep, I was watching Team 2. I had a feeling if he was going to do the Andrews-Jackson hookup, and he did. I know you were thinking about Andrews there. He would have probably taken Burrow to hook up, but there you got Chase, Smith, Andrews, and Jackson hook up there. Tom, thoughts on the Team 2 start?
Yeah, I like it. It would have been interesting to see what he would have done if Vlad hadn't taken Burrow there, but obviously he's going for a bit of a stack with Andrews and Lamar, which is nice. I like the start for him there. No running backs to this point for him. I don't think he needs to. Again, we talk about the rounds 5 and 6 options if that's where he's going. I love Debo being there in round 4. I love the value on Debo this year. So I think Team 1 did well with the Debo pick. And Team 3 there getting Herbert, so some QBs coming off the board. I think Vlad was wise to take the QB where he did because they're coming off the board now.
Yeah, definitely. Herbert, of course, just signs this massive contract. He's now locked up with the Chargers for 7 years. And Burrow, he'll be getting his money next. Don't worry about that. He's not going anywhere. But they kind of were waiting for one or the other to set the record. And I guess Herbert's now the highest paid quarterback, and Burrow will top that, I'm sure. But very interesting. Yeah, Debo, he's been going 36, 37. But today they showed pictures of him. He's been emailing these pictures of himself all buffed up. I would have thought he might go in the first round after seeing that body today on the Twitter. What do you think, Vlad? He looks pretty buffed.
I'm sorry, I was about to pick who are you talking about?
Go ahead, and make your
Debo.
pick.
He's a beast, man. I'm always down for. I'm always in on Debo.
I'm just kidding about that. All right, what do you got here?
Man, this is a tough call. I'm going to go with. I've been drafting a lot of DeAndre Hopkins much later, and so here feels like as my wide receiver 3, it's kind of a lock. There was a running back I was very much interested in, and actually he just went right after me. But I'm going to do the rare, I guess not zero running back. I don't even know what the kids call it these days, but I usually always in NFFC I always have a running back early, at least 1 or 2 in my first 4 picks. We're going a little differently because there are guys in the mid range that I feel very comfortable with.
Yeah, and we agree. I think the rounds 5 through 6 are definitely running backs there. This would be called zero running back. I guess if you didn't take one in round 5, it definitely would be called zero running back. Tom and I have been talking about hero running back, right? The guy who gets McCaffrey then doesn't take a running back for a while, but that didn't happen tonight. Eckler is the same thing. Take Eckler, don't worry about another running back. That didn't happen tonight. In fact, the guy just took another running back. He's got 3 of his first 4. Let's see if Team 11 does it. But your thoughts on that? Do you think that hero running back this year, with the wide receivers being so strong, is a good strategy?
I think a lot of it has to do with like draft position too, and just mapping out where you feel comfortable. So that's something that I do every draft. So I know I don't need to do it as much. I think later on in draft season, when you've already drafted a bunch and you kind of know what options are going to fall to you each round, each range. But what I do is I make like a grid, a chart. I look at ADP the last week or so. I know kind of I have my rankings, and then I just have by position and by round, and I'll put in guys in all those boxes, and then just kind of flow it out. Mm-hmm. If I was to, if I started with a Cup or I started with a McCaffrey, how things would ideally flow. I don't always stick to it. I mean, you have to be able to be versatile and, make quick adjustments on the fly. But yeah, it's just a matter, I think, where you end up starting your draft and how you map it out.
Yeah, definitely. All right, interesting. Again, Team 11 did not do the hero, so nobody really did the hero where they just took the one running back and then went pretty heavy at wide receiver. But real interesting there. Let me just see here. I want to put this question up here first because Breece Hall went middle of the round 4 here. Wanted to ask about Breece Hall. Any thoughts about coming off the ACL? I know Tom and I both have some reservations about Breece Hall. We'd like to see him a year from now, right? I mean, this is tough. These guys that come back, sometimes they pull hamstrings. Sometimes it gets tougher. They don't put up the numbers that we kind of want. Thoughts, Vlad, on Breece Hall going middle of 4th round? Is that somebody you target at all?
No, again, it just goes back to what I was saying with Taylor, and obviously it's a different situation there, but just a guy that we don't know for a fact. Like we've seen it before, right? Like somebody coming off something like that, an ACL, and it sounds like, oh yeah, they're going to be back, they're going to be fine, right. And then midway through training camp, you get different news, and then you're kind of stuck with an early round pick like that. So it's always price sensitive. So if I'm able to grab someone like that in the 6th. and I could stash him for a little bit because I have other strong running backs I can fill in. I'm fine with that. But for the most part, you have to take risks and you got to shoot for upside with a lot of in a contest with a very large first place prize, 250 grand in your guys' sake here. But I just can't do it. I mean, at least not yet. Maybe we'll see how things go in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it a lot, Tom, and we're feeling the same way. All right, just a little recap here. We've got 7 quarterbacks off the board through the first 49 picks. Aaron Jones, we had back-to-back Packers here. Aaron Jones and Christian Watson to end round 4. Again, Team 11 teamed up Aaron Jones with Chubb. Miles Sanders goes to start round 5 here. Let's watch rounds 5 and 6 here because this is where some good running backs do fall. I guess Jones sometimes goes in the 5th round. Sanders is going later in the 5th round. He goes a little earlier here. So we'll keep an eye on that. Tom, Justin's got a question here. He asked about Bijan. Would you take him in the top 10? Again, we watched early on in the season. He was going top 10. Heck, he was going 4 and 5 in a lot of early drafts after the NFL draft. What are your thoughts on him? Are you getting scared off by people being scared off at all?
I can't explain why he's fallen to where I certainly can't explain why he's falling into the second round in drafts tonight. That doesn't make any sense to me. To me, he is a top 10 pick. And I do think when we start getting preseason games and getting camp reports about how explosive he looks and he's catching the ball out of the backfield and doing all the things that we're expecting him to do, I think his ADP is going to start to rise again. And I think that, what we're seeing here tonight, for example, it's going to be a gift. And I think people are going to be falling besides themselves to think that he was right where he's going tonight in the second round. It's insane. Yes, I think he's a top 10 pick. I'll happily take him in the top 10. I want to start wide receiver heavy this year. I've made that very clear. But if I can get a shot at Bijan Robinson, I'm taking it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we thought of him at 4 in the FSGA draft. Not that we were going to take him at 4, but boy, top 6, we definitely would have taken him here.
Yep.
All right, let's look at 2 big roster builds here. Team 7 with 4 running backs and Josh Allen. Team 12 with 4 wide receivers to start and Justin Fields. Again, in these drafts, you can build them any way you want, baby. And those are 2 diverse builds, if you will. Vlad, you got your first running back. J.K. Dobbins, talk about that. We talked about injuries. He's coming off injuries. Obviously, it's 2 years ago that it happened. Thoughts on J.K. Dobbins?
I like him. I feel like there's a little bit of a discount right now with just a little bit of an issue with contract and stuff like that. But I think he'll be absolutely fine. This is going to be his blow up season. Now another year removed from everything, a new offensive coordinator. I think Todd Monken is going to be really good for him in as far as getting him involved a little bit in the pass game, which I think is going to happen for him this year. He's quite explosive. I think he's a dark horse to lead or be among the top 5 running backs in rushing touchdowns. And I know that might even sound crazy for a team that does have a guy in Lamar Jackson there who just kind of walks them in. But I do like Dobbins a lot and happy with him at that price.
Yeah, he was explosive when he was on the field last year. I mean, some big explosive plays. We know what he could have done at Ohio State. He's very good. It's just a concern. But again, he's 2 years out now from this ACL surgery. So let's hope he's healthy because he's fun to watch for sure. Tom, we're seeing Rachaad White jumping into the 5th round now. I got to look at his ADP, but he's been rising from what I've seen in the last 7 days.
Yeah, his ADP the last week is right around 69 or so.
Yeah.
So looking at the math here, going a little bit earlier than that tonight, right?
Yep.
If I look at the draft board here, yeah,
It's
a little
59.
earlier than that tonight.
59.
Yeah, so but I mean, look at these running backs in the 5th round here.
Yeah.
These are good running backs that are still on the board here. Sanders, Walker, Mixon in the 5th, Dobbins that Vlad gets, Rachaad White. I mean, again, this is what we're talking about. These 5th, 6th round running backs, and there's still a couple of guys on the board that I like. So you can play this waiting game, load up on other positions, and get a couple of good running backs in rounds 5 and 6 this year. It's a good way to do a roster build.
Yeah, I like Ayuk going here in round 6 as well. That's a good pickup by team
and
2.
McLaurin.
So, yep, McLaurin and Ayuk. So again, you can build pretty heavy on running backs. Look at the wide receivers here in round 6. I like both of those guys right off the bat. I like Godwin. I like Lockett an awful lot as well. So, all right, Vladdy, what are you thinking here with your 6th round pick?
So I'm going to grab another running back. I think I'm going to wait a little bit on tight end. I like my top 3 receivers. And I don't know, this is kind of a dead zone for me, kind of like those old boring Evans, Brandon Cooks, Pittman guys. They're okay. Pittman probably it will be a nice bounce back candidate. Guy caught 90. Okay, let me make my pick real quick, and then I'll do my analysis here. So I'm going to go completely flip the script on everything that I had said about guys coming off ACLs. I'm going to grab Javonte Williams for the upside because I feel like my team can afford to do so.
All right. I mean, that one I'm as afraid of or scared of as anyone coming off. I mean, it was done in, I think, October or so, and it was more than just the ACL. So why are you optimistic about Javonte, or do you just feel like it's a really good upside play here?
It's a little bit of both. I'm always careful with management and coach speak, but just the fact that it sounds like like Peyton is optimistic that he's not going to be missing any time and is going to kind of get out there sooner than later. The fact that they basically just got Samaje Perine. They haven't really been in any of the conversations as far as getting Dalvin Cook or Leonard Fournette. Seems like they're a little bit optimistic. I feel like it was. I think quite a little long enough, and even if it starts off slowly, it's fine. There'll be some other running backs I'll get. It's a little bit different for me to get like a Javonte, who I like very much. Who I feel like if it wasn't for that injury, we'd be talking about him at probably a second round price. So I'm fine with him. If I need to stash him on the bench, it's okay. I'll have 6 running backs. So look at me backtracking from previous comments. I'm just a Javonte guy.
Tom, I want to ask you about 2 builds here. Team 5 and Team 7 have 4 running backs right now. Now, the most you can play in any one week in the NFFC is 3, but building depth obviously is important. Your thoughts on taking 4 running backs in your first 5 or 6 picks?
It's interesting. That's what I'll say. And there's another one. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. I don't have another word to say for Team 7 other than wow. I mean, I don't know what you do there. I mean, at some point, you can't play all those guys. I mean, you just can't. You got too many. You got to have some wide receivers or tight ends. I mean, those are 5 starting running backs in the NFFC. So what? I don't know what you're doing here. I mean, I'm not trying to be overly critical, but those are 5 guys that you're starting every single week in the NFFC. So you're putting 2 of those guys. I understand they're not starting for somebody else, but you're also trying to win $250,000, and you got to start 3 wide receivers in the NFFC.
Yeah,
and a tight end.
In fact, he may have some tough choices. He might have some tough choices each week here as well. You got 5, now you got to pick the right 3.
I don't know what you're doing here. I mean,
Vlad, do you ever do a build like that?
No, that's a little too extreme. I'm okay with certain types of extreme builds. I remember I forgot it was 2016 or 2017. It was the year that I actually almost won the OC. I ended up 4th overall. I ended up 4th overall literally because I sat Adam Thielen for his 50-point game for Deshaun Jackson. That would have been it.
Wow.
I think prize was 150 at the time. But that was a very memorable team. I remember it because I went running back 3 of my first 4 picks. And it was, I think it was like Le'Veon Bell and then Zeke. And I happened to get him around, this time when I think there was some issue with, I forgot what it was exactly. But it just, he fell around when he typically wasn't going that late. And then everyone was kind of off the Melvin Gordon train. I remember grabbing him in the 5th round. I just locked and loaded Melvin Gordon for what was his breakout year, his second season, as my flex all season long, and just kind of, rode him to the end. That was a really good team. And so, but even that's not extreme because that's what 3 of your first 4. And then you're popping the yellow, right? You're getting all your receivers, and then some of those guys end up hitting, like a Thielen that year. But no, I mean, this is just unfortunately without, like Tom said, not being overly critical. This is like a team you can kind of unfortunately disregard at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he can really hit the wide receivers here again. I think he's got tough decisions just for starting the 3 running backs that he's going to choose. All right, Tom, let's talk about team 12, because this is similar to what Duke did last week, where he started with 4 wide receivers, got a quarterback, and then came back, and there's Akers and Connor. That was very, very similar to the build last week, right?
Yeah, and I think that's doing it really well. I mean, I got some issues. I like Connor. I got issues with Arizona, but
Right.
that's a good way to do it. I mean, 4 wide receivers, and I love Fields, you know that, and then Akers and Connor. That's an optimal way to do that if you're playing the waiting game. And again, we talk about these mid-range round running backs, and they're there. I mean, he worked it. He worked the strategy really, really well. I got to hand it to him.
Yeah. Let's talk about the quarterbacks, Vlad, with you before you make your pick here. We got 9 off the board. When
Mhm.
you're drafting this year, are you going to try to get one of those top 4 or 5 quarterbacks, or are you not afraid to be in this area right now where you may take QB 12, 10, 11, or 12?
I'm not all that. I don't know about afraid. It's almost even more difficult for me to spend a second round pick on one of the top 3 quarterbacks because I want to get the guy that's going to be a top 3 quarterback that's going a little bit later. And there's always a case for that. It
Right.
always happens. Then again, I'm not going to wait for, I'm not comfortable with waiting for like a Dak Prescott, I guess, as my QB1 or an Aaron Rodgers as my QB1. So I do want to get one of the, top 9 or 10 guys, but there are guys like Tua, like Watson and Trevor Lawrence, who I think could get there. But that's kind of the end of the line there. That's pushing it. Yeah.
Well, speaking of pushing it, Team 7's definitely pushing it now because now he's got 6 out of 7 running backs.
This is
So
ridiculous.
we'll see what happens with Team 7. But yeah, we're not going to comment any more on that one. All right, Vlad, you got one coming up here. We'll see what's going to happen here.
All right, 7th pick. I've got some running backs listed and some tight ends. Let's see who's available.
And you got a wide range of what you could do right now. We'll wait for Team 5 to make a pick first. And again, Team 7 can certainly win this, but I mean, once you take a position, you don't need to overdo it. So make sure you got enough points. Every week you want at max points at each of your 10 starting positions. So that's what we'll say right there. All right, Team 5. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of interesting roster builds here. So now you got 2 tight ends for Team 5. Again, certainly can use that in a flex, but you've got 4 running backs as
Mhm.
well. So at some point, Team 5 is going to have to hit some yellow stickers as well. All right, Vlad, you got a lot of choices here.
Yeah, well, it kind of screws me up because Goddard actually would have been the perfect pick right there. I'm sometimes a Kelsey or bust guy because I do have a lot of guys post 100 ADP tight end wise that I'm very interested in, that I'm comfortable just kind of mixing and matching based on matchup. But Goddard is somebody I do very much like this season. Just getting a piece of that offense in general, I think, is a fantastic thing. But all right, well, if I got 7 seconds left, let's do it. I'm gonna take Old Man Evans.
Boring, but he fell too far for you, right?
Yeah, and I tweeted it a few weeks ago. I think it was something like 30% of his fantasy points last season came in like 2 games. It was really amazing. I watched him very closely because I kind of consider myself a little Mike Evans whisperer in DFS over the years. He's kind of won me a lot of money where I'm playing him coming off a bad week when he's like 5% rostered, and then he has his 2 or 3 touchdown game. And so I was really good at nailing those. This past season, Tampa Bay was a mess, as we saw. And there were so many times where just like thousands of dollars just kind of went through his fingertips. It's like Brady, to Evans, just missed it. And it's just kind of everything was off. And so I don't know. I think I think he's going to bounce back a little bit. This is a different era, right? This isn't like your 3rd round Mike Evans anymore. You're now talking about 7th, 8th round as your wide receiver 4. You don't have to play him all the time. So I kind of don't mind it.
Do you have any faith that Baker Mayfield could be a serviceable quarterback to get him the ball? Like you said,
Yeah.
thousands of dollars went through his hands. Well, thousands of dollars could go over his hands, over his head, into the ground, anywhere but near his hands, right?
Yeah, I think he'll be serviceable. I think just things were so bad in Tampa Bay. Going from Brady to anyone else is never a good thing. But I think they're going to be somewhat decent, and even but you'll have some shootouts. You have games where they're coming from behind and just kind of he's chucking the ball and Evans catching deep bombs. So I'm all for it. I think he's a very matchup based guy.
Yeah, interesting. All right, team one, like we said, started out there with 4 wide receivers. Ramondre Stevenson came back with Kittle, and now loading up a little bit on the green stickers, Alvin Kamara and Antonio Gibson. Not bad guys there as well. Again, Tom, we talked about the running backs, rounds 5, 6, 7. Heck, even now in round 8, there's some serviceable guys as well. So there are running backs here that you can be had from picks 50 on down, right?
Absolutely. I mean, to me, that's the spot to go. I mean, especially, if you don't get McCaffrey or Eckler or those, top guys in round one, you can hammer away at those elite wide receivers and load up there and not worry that you're not going to get good running backs later. Now, you're not going to get the 20 to 25 point per game guys that McCaffrey, Eckler will get you, but you can get good running backs in, say, rounds 5 and 6 and maybe even 7 or 8 who are going to be able to combine for, say 25, 30, 35, 40 points per game, on average and get you enough production throughout the season combined with those great wide receivers and the top quarterback maybe that you get. So I like that strategy a lot.
All right, Vlad, you're up on round 8 here. Any thoughts?
Yeah, there are a couple of. I'm deciding between a running back that I like very much and a few receivers that are in play. One of them who may not last until my next pick, especially knowing some of the sharks in this draft. So trying to decide if I want to grab the receiver or the running back first. And obviously the running back kind of makes more sense based on my build so far, especially with a dicey RB2. As a matter of fact, a little bit of a dicey RB1 as well.
Hit
Let
it.
me look at my map. All right.
Is that who you wanted, Sky Moore?
Oh, I autoed. Okay, I didn't know. Okay, that makes sense. That was my top receiver there. So there was a running back I was about to click on, but I didn't realize that I had a few seconds left. So yeah. So ADP high over the last week of 75. Might be a little bit sort of overdoing it with the fact that Kadarius Toney is going to be out for camp and questionable for week 1, and obviously there are always issues with him and. Somebody outside of Kelsey is going to need to step up in the offense.
Yep.
I think Sky Moore is a good candidate for that. And just, again, my big philosophy, which is, for most people that play fantasy, just, get your exposure to those great offenses. Get, as many guys you can on Philly, KC, Cincinnati. Just load up and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, I was interested to see where he was going to go tonight, so I like seeing that one because Tony, I mean, having surgery, he's not going to be ready in week 1. I'm sorry. I mean, you can be optimistic and everything, whether it was a meniscus or whatever they did. It doesn't. He's not going to be ready by week 1, and still got to get in shape and all that kind of stuff. No, I think Sky Moore is going to step up here. I really do. And Tom, he wasn't going inside the top 100. I don't believe in this last week, but since the injury, he certainly is going to go inside the top 100 now, right?
Yeah, I would think his ADP is going to start rising without question at this point. I mean, again, like Vlad was saying, somebody else has got to play wide receiver here. And Sky Moore came in with pedigree last year. He just wasn't ready as a rookie to contribute right away. And again, I think Greg, you and I remember when we did the magazine. We did the 3rd year article for wide receivers. We've been spoiled the last few years about rookie wide receivers coming in and contributing right away. Some guys just aren't ready, as rookies. Sky Moore wasn't ready, but he's got the pedigree. We saw it in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He contributed there. So maybe it's going to be year 2 for Sky Moore. So I think maybe we just don't give up on this guy right away.
Yeah, his ADP over the last week is 99. So again, he goes 88 here. So I think he is going to go inside the top 80 here pretty soon because people will be on him. They want pieces of that offense for sure. Here we got a run of wide receivers. A lot of interesting ones too, right? JSN, Treylon Burks is Team 7's wide receiver run. Interesting reports on him. I like Elijah Moore. To Team 9 as well. Elijah Moore, we're hearing good things about him as well. So this is an interesting round for some upside wide receivers. If you drafted 6 running backs right away, this is a good time to start getting some of those wide receivers. So, hey, Vlad, you've waited on tight ends. And at this point, what do we got? 7 off the board. You can certainly wait. What are your thoughts on the tight ends at this point? Are they all a dime a dozen at this point after those first 6, 7 go off?
So this next tier, which is basically your Evan Ingram, David Njoku, Pat Freiermuth group,
Hmm.
they're fine. But there are guys that go in the next tier that I don't want to say confident that they're going to match or exceed their production, but they're going to be awfully close. So there's some later round guys that I really like, and one of them in particular, hopefully will still be streaming for me to draft him. Is somebody I have way too much exposure to, which probably usually what that ends up meaning is he gets injured at some point. So I'll Jacob DeGrom and Raisel Iglesias style.
We don't want that. That's for sure. All right. Evan Ingram goes to start round 9 again, team 12. This is a similar build. I actually don't know if this is Duke or not, but this is a similar build to last week. And we talked about it, how you get those wide receivers, get your quarterback that you want, hit on 3 running backs, and you still got a chance at a good tight end there in Ingram. So a very interesting build. We have 9 running quarterbacks off the board. There's 3 teams that do not have a quarterback. Similar to the tight ends, I think when you get to this point, you don't need to push the envelope on it. There's plenty of guys that are going to get the job done for you between quarterbacks 10 through 15, if you will. So let's see who they end up taking. Teams 5, 6, and 1 right here. Let me just adjust this. Tom, anything stand out to you so far?
Well, besides the teams we're not really going to talk about at this point. Again, I do like what Team 12 has done here. In terms of, he waited on the running backs and I think he's done pretty well here. And I do like Evan Engram in round 9. If you're going to wait on tight ends, he's kind of one of those guys that's in my target range. If you're waiting beyond, those first, say, 3 tiers or so, Engram's a guy that I do like beyond, that third tierish of group of guys. I mean, in that Jacksonville offense, which is an offense I would like to have some shares of this year.
Yep, definitely. All right, there's team 7 is taking a second quarterback. Okay, now this is
Nice. You know what? And this isn't, I mean, we're not going to obviously out this person, but he's been around the block. I've been, drafting with him 6, 7 years ago. So I know he's kind of gone off the deep ends with builds on occasion, but is sometimes, he wins some leagues. So I don't know what the heck he's doing. Maybe his son or something is drafting for him. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, he's making quick picks, so he's got him there. He's not being autoed or anything like that, but I don't think he needed to back up Josh Allen at that point. All right, Vlad, you had been talking about a running back you were thinking of taking before. Was that running back taken already, or you got a chance for him here?
Yeah, there's a group of 3 or 4 that I'm pretty interested in, but Rashad Penny really
Mhm.
is man. I mean, we saw what he's capable of, and he's just one of the biggest big play threats when he's healthy. It's really always just been about the health. I don't know how that's gonna kind of work itself out there with Swift, who I've always been enamored with, and Penny, who's like a 5 yards per carry guy over the course of his career, who could you can just see him just taking off for like 60-yard TDs like at will. It's going to happen. But I just don't know how things are going to shake out, especially with the fact that Kenneth Gainwell is good too.
Yep.
I mean, the offense is just loaded. We don't know how it's going to happen. And so, yeah, it would have been nice there. But then again, this is PPR too. You want to be able to grab some guys that can catch some passes as well.
Mhm.
If it just so happens that Javante's hurt and J.K. Dobbins is not catching passes, and then if I add a Penny there, that would also be a little tricky. So let
All
me
right, well,
grab
you're on the clock for this one, so grab the
let me
guy you
grab
want.
so my problem is I really have to worry about by week 10. Nah, screw it. I'm between 3 running backs here. One was the rushing touchdown leader last year in a kind of good scenario. I'm just going to grab.
Interesting.
I grabbed the rookie.
Yep, he signed
Charbonnet.
today, so he's in, so you're good to go there. Yeah, I mean, Charbonnet is a good back. You saw him obviously last year at UCLA. He's a kid who is the number 2 back in Seattle, and Kenneth Walker, anything can happen to him, but they have to split some carries between them. I mean, Walker can't get all of them, so he's got an opportunity there for sure. Khalil Herbert.
Absolutely.
Yep, go ahead.
I'm just going to say, I mean, this offense is tremendous. The one thing I did notice, like, if you look at their second half schedule, Seattle's, like, I don't know who they pissed off to get this. It's atrocious. I mean, just as far as like the strength of the defenses, or at least what we're expecting with defenses, it's just loaded. Like I mean, it's Baltimore at Pittsburgh, like the Niners. It's a really, really tough schedule. So again, they'll score points against some good teams too, I'm sure. But it's really tough. And so, grabbing somebody like that, who I think is a talented pass catcher, in the UCLA rookie, I think he's going to be pretty active this year. And like you said, anything can happen to Kenneth Walker, and then you've got yourself a smash pick.
All right, absolutely. All right, Team 1 does take our 10th quarterback. He takes Kirk Cousins. Two teams still looking for a quarterback. I highly recommend you watch Quarterback on Netflix. It was very well done by Peyton Manning. Tom, did you finally watch it?
I've started watching. I'm
Okay.
three or four episodes in now.
Yeah, that's 8 episodes, and it's really good. I do have
Yep.
appreciation for Cousins. He took a beating last year. I know they had the microphone right on him, but man, that guy took a beating last year and kept on coming back. So, all right,
Yep.
Vlad, you are on the clock in round 10. Well, like I said, we'll probably go with 12 rounds, 13 rounds here tonight, walking you through the roster builds mainly, but good to see what everybody's thinking when they're making their picks. What do you got, Vlad?
There's one guy from the tight end tier. The running backs that I was looking at, they all got snaked. So I'm just going to grab another running back with potential if, God forbid, something happens to CMC.
All right, so you are waiting on the tight ends. Like you said, you're not as worried right here, but you are taking a bit of a gamble at the tight end position. No concerns?
No, not really. I'll make it happen in the course of the season. I have a couple of guys that I think will be top 10 guys who I will hopefully be able to grab for my team.
All right, I'm watching teams 5 and 6 here just to see if they take a quarterback. Team 5 does not. He's loading up on the wide receivers again. He started out with 4 running backs with his first 6 picks. Goes with Goddard, which was his second tight end, but now is hitting the wide receivers. So interesting build by Team 5 and Team 7, obviously. Let's see what Team 6 does as far as the quarterback is concerned. And he takes Tua as the 11th quarterback off the board.
Okay. Got a hookup if he wants it.
Does he? Yeah, he's got Tyreek
Yeah,
and Tua. Yeah, okay.
Tyreek.
Okay.
Yep.
Understandable there. Jacoby Myers is our wide receiver 2 for Team 7 here. All right, let's watch the end here then. Algier of all the players from last year, that guy's value is the most deflated because of Bijan. I mean, Algier was tough last year. As a rookie, he had 1,000 yards. That kid was tough, and now, like, he's an afterthought. If they didn't draft Bijan, Tyler Algier probably would have gone in that 5th round, 6th round tier at the very latest, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, even up to the 4th, really looking
right.
around like the Najee
Right.
Etienne guys. Absolutely.
I mean, he ran tough as a rookie and now just pushed to the side, baby. We don't need you anymore. But who knows? Maybe get some goal line scores. Maybe Bijan gets split out a little bit more and he gets the goal line scores. I'll be interested to watch. I liked Algier an awful lot last year and was kind of surprised about this. Tank Bigsby, here's another interesting running. Look at all these running backs. I mean, there's a lot of interesting guys here. Herbert's the running back 1 in Chicago. A chain is interesting. Elijah Mitchell, like you say, is interesting. Jamal Williams led the NFL in touchdown rushes last year. You're getting these guys in rounds 9 through 10. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to carry you to a title, but boy, when you're getting depth, not bad depth here in rounds 9 and 10, Tom.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And these guys will have role. Jamal Williams could be the starting running back for the Saints for X number of games. I mean, we don't know what's going to go on with Kamara. And Damian Harris is going to have a role in Buffalo. We like James Cook, but Damian Harris will have a role. We know he's a good goal line running back. We've seen that in New England in the past. We know McKinnon will have a role in Kansas City. As long as Dalvin Cook doesn't end up in Miami, a chain could have a nice role in there with the Dolphins. So these guys could be valuable fantasy running backs. They're not going to pop 20 points per game, but they will be valuable guys that you could probably flex in, when the matchup is right.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Tyler asks, and Vlad, you don't have to answer this one because you still are drafting, but any super late dart throws you guys like? He likes Justin Ross. I mean, I've said, this isn't super late because he just went in the 10th round, but I love Dobbs. I mean, I just think he's going to get the most receptions in Green Bay. I mean, Watson could get the most touchdowns, could get the most yards, but I like Dobbs. Tom, you got any late dart throws that you're throwing out here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. I mean, there's still who knows who's drafting, who might be watching the podcast. I mean, there's there's some guy. There's one guy in particular that I love quite a bit, who's hasn't been drafted yet, and he's a wide receiver. So I hesitate. I do like Dobbs a lot, like you do. So, but there is another wide receiver that I do like quite a bit, who hasn't been drafted yet. So I hesitate to say his name, but
Don't say his
if he
name. You
comes
did
up
that
and we're
last
still on
week.
the air, I'll mention him.
You
You're
did
not
that
even in the
last.
draft, Tom.
Huh?
I was about to name some, and I'm in this draft, and you're not going to name any?
Well, if you want to give away your secrets, you can. That's fine.
Nah, we'll
You're the one
we'll get
playing
to
for
it.
the 250, so that's up to you.
It's okay. That's what I do in baseball, right? I give it all out, and
Yeah.
always get my piece anyways.
Last week, Tom was hinting about McKinnon, and then he went like the next pick. It was like, so he felt guilty that he kind of gave it away right there. So that's why he's keeping tight-lipped tonight.
I will say he plays in the same division as Romeo Dobbs. How's that?
Nice.
Oh, nice. Nice. There you go. The most
KJ
interesting
Osborne, isn't it?
division maybe this year in the NFL. That thing is wide open. I don't think there's any team, Lions are the favored, but they're still the Lions, so we'll see what happens. And Packers could win anywhere from 4 to 10 games maybe. All depends. But that should be an interesting division, I think. Vlad, are you coming to Vegas for football live drafts, or is that tough for you?
No, it's tough.
Yeah.
With young kids, I can only make a couple of trips a year, and obviously, I come to baseball for NFBC, and then I just draft my prime times online, so it's a little tough. And FTN is doing something with Circa. We're having a draft out there and partnership with them, and so I don't know if I'm even going to be able to make it to that. So unfortunately, a lot of my stuff is going to be online.
That's because I know you're planning on Arizona Fall League. You're definitely going to that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Got to do Arizona every year.
Yeah, that's a must for sure. That's such a great time. All right, interesting to hear again now as we get through round 11. We'll finish up here probably through round 12. Again, play nffc.com. You can come here. RotoWire Online Championships are filling every night, multiple ones every night. This 11:55 Midnight Owl that Derek's been pushing has been filling up all the time, and some wild drafts, great drafters in that one as well. Tom, you were watching all weekend. We got 3 on Friday, 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday. I mean, this contest is picking up, and we're on a record pace right now, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's blowing up and going to be a lot of fun. And we feature a lot of them on our Sirius show, featuring another one tomorrow night at 11 Eastern. We like to bring people on the Sirius show and talk to them. So it's going to be a huge year for the RotoWire. So if you want to get into one, just head on over to playnffc.com, sign up. If you like what you're seeing tonight, you think you can beat these group of guys, sign up. Get in and have a great year. It's going to be a lot of fun this year. Again, our 20th anniversary season in the NFFC this year.
Absolutely. All right. Team 5 decided not to take a quarterback there. There's 12 off the board. He's the only one without one. So we'll see if he takes one around 12 at all. But he chose not to right here. Probably doesn't think anybody's going to double up on the back end here. Yeah, definitely. In fact, we ran a promotion this weekend for the NFFC Cutline Championship, gave, I think, $25 off. And we had 258 signups this weekend. So that thing just vaulted that one into a good area as well right now. So it should be very good. But check out the cut line. The prime time starts August 16th as our first online drafts, and those will be good. Tomorrow night, Tom, we got a partnership with fantasylife.com and Dwayne McFarland, and Ian Hartitz is going to be drafting. They're going to be on the show with you tomorrow at 11 o'clock on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. Ian and Dwayne will come on the show after they draft tomorrow night. Join me and Derek on the Sirius show at 11 o'clock Eastern. So we'll chat it up with them and find out how they drafted with the $250,000 grand prize on the line and talk about fantasy football as well. And yeah, we're looking forward. This is going to be a great partnership with those guys at Fantasy Life. And hopefully we'll have them on the show again more often during the season, maybe before the season as well. But yeah, looking forward to that. It can be a lot of fun tomorrow night.
All right, Zeke goes at pick 132 to round out round 11. Vlad, you got Greg Dulcich as your tight end. Is that the guy that you got too many shares of?
That's the guy I have too many shares, or maybe not enough. We'll see. But playing that Joker role in Sean Payton's refurbished Denver offense, I think is going to be phenomenal. I think there are a lot of great pieces there. I think Russell Wilson bounces back. Just stay healthy, man, really. I think if Dulcich stays healthy, I think you're going to have a top 10 tight end right now.
Yeah, I like that pick too. I mean, they're already talking about how they're going to use him in a lot of different ways. Sean Payton knows how to use the tight end, obviously. So that's a good one. I like that pick an awful lot as well. Uh, Vlad, we do have Nelson doing a live stream on Friday. Spots are
Mhm.
available on that one at 10 p.m. Eastern time. And so you can watch that one on the FTN Fantasy. And I think Nelson's going to put it on his Twitter account as well. So what we're trying to do now, Vlad, and you let me know if we're doing it right. We're going to flood the zone with live stream drafts. I think
Yeah.
people want to watch these. I think they love to hear content and sleeper picks. Well, put your money where your mouth is and let's see the experts make their picks with $250,000 on the line. So, I mean, that's what our plan is over these next 6 weeks is just flood the zone with live streams. What do you think?
I think it's a great idea. Just load it up. I love what you're doing. Love to be a part of them. People love to watch drafts, and as we get even closer into August, it's gonna be fantastic. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. All right. We want to thank you. Tell everyone what they can find at ftnfantasy.com.
man, it's loaded content. Very data heavy, data oriented company, and obviously, I recommend getting the high stakes package because then you get exposure to Nelson Sousa's fade list, which has just been incredibly helpful for high stakes and drafters of all price ranges over the years. The players to avoid also basically,
Mhm.
all throughout the top 100, and then everything from Jeff Ratcliffe and Kevin Adams and the rest of the team. It's really loaded. I'll be doing a lot of fab free agent bidding for NFFC specifically over the course of the season. Right now, I'm doing some best ball content, and I'll have my Golden Zone receivers article coming out in a couple of weeks.
Beautiful.
FTN
Yeah.
Fantasy.
Your fab column for baseball and football is a must read for sure. Everyone should get that. So subscribe to ftnfantasy.com. They got great writers, great friends of ours, and it's a great partnership. Tyler, I agree with you. This is fun to see how the board fleshes out. Fun to see the builds. We want to do this every night if we can. Again, we got another one tomorrow night. RotoWire's got one on Thursday, Nelson on Friday, and we'll do it again next week. I got to get Maddie to do another one Monday or Tuesday of next week as well. So thanks to everybody for joining us tonight. This was a great group of people here. We had almost 40 people watching live. You can find it on our High Stakes Fantasy Network YouTube channel if you want to watch it again. There we go. Team 6 doubling up there. Oh, Team 5 still didn't take one. Okay, we can't wait long enough to see what quarterback he takes. I was thinking he took one there, but he's not going to have a quarterback this year. Find out later on. But thanks a lot, Vlad. Thanks a lot, Tom. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll see you again.